Hello, welcome in or welcome back to my channel. My name is Deb from DG Reads and it is vacation day. It is Thursday morning. It is the 10th of July, and in about 11 hours, I'm going to be boarding a plane and heading off for Zanzibar. This is a TrovaTrip hosted by Becca at Becca in the Books, and I could not be more excited. I'm off work today. I have the whole day to kind of finalize things, get stuff ready to go, and do a little bit of pre-trip relaxation because it's about 25 hours of travel to get there, 28 hours to get back home at the end. And that, of course, is not the ideal. But I am so looking forward to this trip. So agenda for the day is I'm starting off getting new nails, and then I am going to hang out with Kylie for a little while around 2:30 in the afternoon. I have to take her over to the vet. She's going to be boarding there during my vacation. And then I go to my dad's house and I'm leaving my car with him. He's taking me to the airport this afternoon, and then I get to the airport and get ready to go. So that is the plan. I'm going to be bringing you along with me and documenting what we get up to, the reading that I do, and hopefully getting some rest and relaxation on the travel on the way there too, so I can arrive in one piece. Welcome to Zanzibar. A long time of travel. It was definitely long. And the first flight had screaming baby and loud talking people, and I didn't get a lot of sleep on that one. And that was my 10-hour flight. Then I had a 1-hour flight, which obviously not a lot of sleeping was done then either. But thankfully my last flight, which was 8.5 hours, I got at least a decent 4 hours in. So I'm functioning at this point, and was able to check into my room early and hit the shower already. And I'm heading up to the pool as my next step. We have a rooftop pool at this hotel, so I'm gonna go check that out and meet up with some of the gals from the trip up there, I think. In terms of reading, I did do some. I don't know if I mentioned it in the intro. I feel like I filmed that ages and ages ago, but for this month I am participating in the tarot readathon, which is brought to us by Deja and Noelle, and I kind of let that direct a lot of my reading for my flights and so forth. I pulled a card, and I'm not going to remember off the top of my head which card is which. Maybe I'll put it up on screen if I'm feeling energetic when I go to edit this at the end. But I pulled a card that said I needed to pick a light and fluffy read, and for this one I picked up The Man I Never Met. This is going to be a bad update because I'm going to forget a lot. By L, maybe? Something along those lines. It turned out not to be light and fluffy. It definitely hit a lot of hard topics, but this is what I was reading at the lounge at LAX before I took off, and finished it pretty quickly because I had started it on my driving around for the day and so forth. So this one was following a woman and a man. The woman's in the UK and the man is in Austin, Texas, and he accidentally calls her when he's trying to call for an interview for a job in England, and this kicks off a text messaging relationship and eventually a hope for a real relationship, but some very serious things come into play that make that not so much the option anymore. So this was a good read, not my typical, but it was an easy read. It was a good one when I was kind of going through security and LAX and all of that. The airport was so empty. It was so weird, very un-LAX. It was a nice blessing for this trip, I think, that everything went very smoothly. And then from there, I went ahead and started Out of Air by Rachel Rice. This is one that I actually did get from the publisher in hard copy form, but I went ahead and picked it up from the library, so I didn't have to bring a heavy book with me. But this is following a group of teens. They make a discovery when they're diving, and they wind up encountering some spooky things, some messing with reality type of things, some curse type of things. And this one was fine. I enjoyed it enough. It was entertaining enough. It didn't 100% hook me in, but I had a good time with it, and it was a quick read. And as is tradition on my vacations, I also picked up Such Charming Liars by Karen McManus, and I had a good time with this one. In this, we're following a young woman who is the daughter of a con woman. She's involved in this network of con people, and she winds up going with her mom on this job unexpectedly, and things go awry. We're also following a young man whose father is also a bit shady, and they form a nice friendship, and it was a fun read. I liked this one. It's not a new favorite, but compared to some of the Karen McManus ones, I actually did like this quite a bit. and her books can kind of go for the positive or not so much. So this one was definitely better than whichever one it was I picked up on my last trip. So I had a really good time with this one. It kept me engaged. Again, going through the travel process, that says a lot. So I did start also A Ghost of Caribou, which is a series continuation for me, and this is one that I really have been enjoying this series. It's very interesting because it gives a lot of information about the animals being discussed, in this case caribou, but there's also a mystery element, a thriller element, and this one worked for a book involving murder because there is a potential murder, there's a past murder, and someone missing in the present as well, and this was a lot of fun. I've been traveling too much to give you really coherent thoughts on these, but I'm about halfway through Ghost of Caribou, so maybe by the end I'll be a little more coherent with it. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and go up to the pool and relax, and we have a welcome dinner tonight, and then I think it'll be an early to bed type of thing tonight to get some good sleep and get my sleep schedule on Zanzibar time. Lighting in this room is less than ideal, but happy Sunday from Zanzibar. I have settled in quite well yesterday. I spent a while at the pool, went and got a smoothie with some folks, and then we had our welcome dinner last night, which was fun. They surprised us with a cake and a dance with the cake at the end of the meal, which was a lot of fun, and came back and I crashed out pretty hard last night. Woke up a couple times, but went right back to sleep, so I'm actually not feeling bad this morning. Pretty good for the 10-hour time difference and 25 plus hours of travel, so not too bad. I did manage to finish up A Ghost of Caribou this morning. This is by Alice Henderson. It is the third, I think, installment in the series after The Blizzard of Polar Bears and something of Wolverines, I think. I don't know. Still don't have that down, but I also realized I didn't really give good synopsis. But this one, Alex Henderson is going out to study this kind of mystery caribou. There is a line of caribou, a species of caribou that is believed extinct, but one has been seen or spotted, and she's out exploring this. While she's there, she realizes that there has been cold case murder in the area, and there is potential for someone having gone missing, and she winds up getting involved in this. It's a very rural setting for the most part. There are loggers fighting against environmentalists. There's a lot of different factors going on in here, and I felt like this one did a really good job of balancing kind of the information about the caribou, about preservation, which is something that all of these books really do drive home, and the mystery and the thriller elements and elements of danger to our main character and other people. And all of this was a good time. I finished it up this morning because I was up early and not quite ready to go down for breakfast, so that was my fun reading wrap up for this morning. Not sure what I'm picking up next, so we shall see. Today we have a walking tour in the morning, and then we are going out to a sandbar by boat and hanging out there for a little while, having lunch there, but also just some free time to swim or hang out on the beach. So with all of that, I might get some reading in. We shall see. Who knows? So far, didn't get a lot of reading in yesterday. Not too shocking, since mostly I was trying to keep myself awake and therefore socializing in the pool and so forth. So that's it for me. I am off to meet my tour group in 8 minutes, so get going and see what the day shall bring. I'm not taking my camera with me because I don't want it to sink to the bottom of the ocean, which would be my luck, but I do have a waterproof camera that belonged to my mother that my dad gave me, so I'm hoping maybe I can get some footage there. It looks like it's going to be a really pretty day, and I will check in with you later.
Jambo bwana, habari gani? Mzuri sana, wageni wakaribishwa Zanzibar yetu, hakuna matata, nchi ya kupendeza, hakuna matata, ukiondoka muje tena, hakuna matata, tulete hayo mabunda, hakuna matata, hakuna matata, hakuna matata, hakuna matata, hakuna matata. Surprise! Yes, yes, yes! Beautiful lady in Zanzibar Vacation, welcome to Zanzibar! Zanzibar, hakuna matata! Habibi, welcome to Zanzibar!
Okay, go. Go! Yes!
Yes!
It is now Monday morning, and yesterday we had a hot but interesting walk around Stonetown, and then we hopped on a boat, went out to the sandbank, and got to swim a little bit, have some fresh seafood and fries on the beach, and lighting is just really bad. I don't know if it's my camera or if it is the room, but I'm sitting right in front of a window. You would think it would work. So I apologize for quality. But anyway, that was fun. Then they boated us like 2 seconds away so we could jump in where there were some more fish and do a bit of snorkeling, which was fun in and of itself. I struggled getting back on the boat, but it was a good time overall. And then we came back and went out to dinner with the group, and it was a good time. We had a restaurant right next door that someone in our group had been to before, so it was very convenient. And it was Indian food, but with Zanzibar spices to it, so that was good. Today we are going to take a tour of a spice farm, which I'm looking forward to as someone who likes to cook and use these different spices. I really enjoy that, so taking you along for that, I'm sure. But after that, we go to our next hotel. It is more of a resort kind of pool vibe type hotel, I think. So looking forward to maybe spending the afternoon by the pool this afternoon. In terms of reading, I haven't done a whole lot since last I updated you. I am slowly working my way through Doctor Strange and Mr. Norrell. This is by Susanna Clark. It's a buddy read, and we're reading it throughout the whole month. So my main goal is to just kind of not fall super behind while I'm on vacation. I was randomly awake at 3:30 in the morning for no reason whatsoever, and then there was a power outage that kind of woke me up a little bit more. So I did catch up on my chapters for that, which I am enjoying, and I have started my reread of A Trial of Sorcerers by Elise Kova, which is one I've been wanting to get back to and reread so I continue on with the series. So I think that's going to be one of my priorities for this week. I have pulled a couple more tarot cards. One of them was for a story that features family or legacy, and I think A Trial of Sorcerers definitely will work for that. And then I also picked up a prompt for a fast-paced book, and I think I'll pick up Thriller maybe along the side for that as well. So with those two, I think I will be continuing on. It's very helpful kind of having the tarot cards push me because I have way too many options downloaded on my Kindle. But in any case, I am about to go down and grab some breakfast. It is 8 a.m. We have to be in the lobby with all our bags and everything by 10. So I've got plenty of time, but definitely don't want to do everything last minute too much. So that's the plan, and I will check with you later.
Don't take long time to cook. A short while, it's already cooked. So after harvesting the vanilla, we don't dry them in the sun. We dry them in the dark place so that dry the its aroma. Because when we dry it in the sun, it's gonna melt. We use this one in a different use. We make vanilla essence with it in baking, something like a cake and bread. We add in the juice. We add in that one, lemongrass tea.
Jambo, jambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana, ati wageni mwakaribishwa Zanzibar yetu, hakuna matata. Uyo, jambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana, hakuna matata. Zanzibar yetu, hakuna matata. Nchi ya kupendeza, hakuna matata. Atakaye na aje, hakuna matata. Zanzibar yetu nzuri, hakuna matata. Hakuna matata, hakuna matata.
His feet often slip round, like it keeps them in that position.
He would have not struggled getting on the boat yesterday.
Whoa! Hello! Whoa! Where I come from?
America.
America.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, America. Hello. Hakuna matata. Welcome Zanzibar. Hakuna matata. No worry. Don't worry. Be happy. No problem Zanzibar. Hakuna matata. Welcome Zanzibar. Hello, Malaika.
Hello again. It's Tuesday morning. We had a very eventful Monday. We went to the spice farm and spent a couple hours there. It was fun to see a bunch of plants and smell and taste various things, and then it finished off with them providing us with some coconut water, and then they carved it up so we could actually eat the coconut, and they put on a little show of climbing the tree and dancing and singing, and the song that they sing here will be stuck firmly in my head by the end of the trip because we hear it everywhere we go. And then we went to our next destination and made it a little late in the afternoon, so we wound up just kind of having a combo lunch dinner at the beach cafe, and that was tasty, and got some cocktails, played some cards, and made it an early night because we have an early start this morning. I did pretty much pass out right away, so pretty no reading was done yesterday apart from my middle of the night reading the previous night, so nothing much to update you on there. But today we are going off to ride some ATVs through the jungle, tropical forest, I don't know what to call it here, but that's going to be exciting. And then we come back, I think, and just have the afternoon free again to relax on the beach or a pool or something along those lines. So that is the plan for today. I did do a little bit of shopping at the spice farm and picked up a couple different types of tea and coffee. I have Zanzibar cinnamon tea with vanilla, at Zanzibar ground ginger tea, which sounded interesting enough to be fantastic, or potentially not. I don't know, but ginger and coffee are both things I enjoy. And then I had to go for a regular vanilla coffee and a cinnamon coffee just to kind of round things out. So I will be well caffeinated when I get home. But that's about it for the moment. I need to finish getting ready to go out, grab breakfast, and then have an 8 a.m. meetup in the lobby to take off to go pick up our ATVs for that tour. So I don't know how safe it's going to be to take a camera. They mentioned not taking belongings, I think, so we'll see what the setup is and how much I can film and so forth. But I will definitely check back in with you later. Tuesday was a wild day, and I don't have a ton of footage, but I definitely have some pictures I can share with you. We went and got on the bus, drove close to an hour probably out to where they had quad bikes for us, and we got a very little bit of instructions and then took off, and we were going on roads with traffic. We were going on really rough terrain, and it was quite honestly not for beginners, and especially not without a lot of instruction. And it was a little rough going. The start of it didn't go too badly, and then we did go off-roading at one point into a little village, and they kind of told us about the village and village life, which was mostly okay. It was interesting to be able to see it, to hear about a very different lifestyle. The way it was set up, a little bit weird because they were offering us pictures with the kids, and they told us we needed to bring candy to the kids, and it just felt a little bit off. Like, I wish we had been able to do something other than provide candy to kids who were asking us for candy, kind of a thing. I don't know, but they did provide us with some fruit and let us tour one of the homes, and it was an interesting experience. And then we got back on the bikes, and I managed to take the bike off the side of a little hill, which was not ideal, but the guide got the bike back on and made it back without further incident. I've been really trying to give myself injuries this trip. That one at least was injury-free. The whole thing, I am glad that I tried it. It was definitely way outside my comfort zone, and it was stressful, I would say, in addition to being fun. But that's okay. We did stop at a beach. We got to see kind of a very different side of the beach compared to the resort beaches we've seen, and explore a little bit while the tide was out, see some sea life, and that was a nice stop. And then we went back and got back on the bus and came home. The other issue we had was it absolutely downpoured a couple times, so we were soaking wet on these quad bikes, and it just was bad timing in that regard. We haven't had any rain really up until now, and that's when it had hit. But we came back, relaxed the rest of the evening. A few people went out onto these inflatable kind of fun, like bouncy houses, but on the water. And I did not go out at that point. I just didn't have the energy for it. But I was in picture taking mode and recording people going out and having fun with that. And then we had dinner, and there was a surprise acrobatic show, which was truly impressive. And I do have footage of that to share. So it was fun. Came back to the room early, did a teeny tiny bit of reading. I think I managed 2 chapters. And that's really it before I absolutely passed out last night. So today we've got an early start. I need to get up and get ready, but I'm procrastinating by filming because today we have a full day adventure. We're out for like 8 hours, but we're hopping on boats and going out to an island where there are known to be a ton of dolphins. And the idea with that is hopefully there are dolphins we're going to be swimming with, and then we go and hang out on the beach. They're going to make us lunch, and it should be a fun day of being on the ocean, snorkeling and swimming and all of that. So today is definitely more my speed. I'm excited for the dolphins, and we'll see how the day goes. So I don't think I'm going to be taking my camera with me, exposing it to the water, but I will have my underwater camera, which hopefully I'll get some footage. I tried the other day doing some filming with it, and it seems like I got some footage. There wasn't much to really see under the water. I was more so experimenting with it, but I can't seem to get the photos off without connecting it to a computer. The Wi-Fi connection is not working, so I can't really transfer anything at point, but I guess when I get home, I'll see what I have. That is pretty much all I have to update on at the moment. It was definitely a wild day yesterday, and I'm hoping today will be a little more chill. So I'll provide you with an update later on. It is Wednesday evening, and we have made it back after a really long day going out, and today we were looking for dolphins, and we wound up getting one big boat instead of 3 speedboats as we had originally expected, so it took quite a while to get to where we were going, and we made a couple of stops along the way to pick up our food and snorkel equipment and the like, but we eventually made it to the place where we were supposed to be seeing the dolphins. And I'd been warned that the objective is once you see dolphins, you hurry up and jump into the water, which I was a little concerned about because I'm not that speedy. But when we got there, there were just a lot of boats. There was a pod of dolphins that was coming up and people were jumping in, but there were just so many speedboats, it didn't really feel super safe. And I think most people kind of were feeling the same. So we went instead to the place we were supposed to go after that and did some snorkeling there, and lo and behold, some dolphins showed up. But thankfully we still got to see our dolphins. They came up right behind me and were just kind of swimming around a little bit. I happened to have my underwater camera in hand, threw on my snorkel mask real quick, and I did get a couple of good pictures. I think, again, I can't get the pictures off my underwater camera until I get home, but they seem to be good on the screen at least. The dolphins were right next to me and it was so cool. But one of the gals in our group did also grab a really, really awesome video, which I'll share as well because she was kind enough to give a copy. Thank you to Rachel. But it was so much fun. And then they had made lunch on the boat, since there was very little kind of dry area to this little sandbar area. The tide was still in too much, so they had barbecued some fish and made some curry and rice and some fries, and so we went back to the boat to eat and then decided to go ahead and sail back. They did indeed put up the sail to bring us back for the most part until the very end, and they put back on the engine, and it was a fairly long ride and a fairly rocky one, and you could probably see I got a little too much sun, and that's just the boat was moving too much for me to feel like I could maneuver to get to where my sunscreen was, and I was trying to cover up as much as possible and stay out of the sun as much as possible. But there wasn't a lot of shade, so definitely glad that the store here had some aloe. I will be using that tonight. So it was overall a really good day. It was an exhausting day. We are going to be having dinner at 7:30 tonight, and then after that, probably a relatively early bedtime, I'm thinking, because we have to be in the lobby with all our luggage by 9 a.m. tomorrow because we are going to see monkeys, do a little forest walk, and then we go to our final destination after that. So that is the plan today. I did kind of come back after the boat, lay down and catch up on Instagram and listen to my audiobook a little bit. I'm about halfway into A Trial of Sorcerers now, and since it's a reread, I don't have a ton of thoughts, but I am remembering how much I enjoyed it. The trial setup is very good, and it does have me even more excited to continue on. So that's really all the reading that I did today, and it's more than I did yesterday. I think yesterday was like 40 pages at the most, and I don't know that I'll get a ton more in tonight because I have a feeling I will fall asleep quickly, but maybe I will, maybe I won't. So it was a long day. I'm gonna go ahead and finish kind of packing up as much as I can tonight, so I have very little to morning, and then relax a little bit before dinner in 45 minutes. So that's the evening plan, and I will talk to you later.
Make that thing, something like baskets, that one.
Oh, there's more nets. Yeah,
G0 north of sand.
That's what they assume they don't actually. Oh yeah. It is now Thursday evening, and we are at our final destination, Paji, and we went today on the way to our new hotel to the monkey preserve. There's two different types of monkeys there, and we were able to see both kinds up close and personal in one case, as one of the monkeys came and stole a snack out of somebody's hand, but also in their natural habitat, playing in the trees and hanging around, and we had a great ability to watch them and enjoy that, and it was a fun excursion. And then we went into the mangrove just to kind of walk through there as well. Saw the little crabs in there. I didn't get video of those, but to get a little bit that I probably share, hopefully. But with that, we then came to our hotel and were surprised because we did not come to the hotel we were supposed to come to. Turns out the resort we were supposed to be at is undergoing construction, and they didn't quite get the rooms ready by the time we were supposed to show up. So they upgraded us to a 5-star resort, which is next door to where the original hotel was. So we are staying in this really nice resort. We had a few hiccups in the beginning because there was power outage. It was some sort of planned power outage, but timing wise, unfortunately, it hit right when we arrived at the hotel. So got to my room, got into my room, and there was no power, no AC, no nothing happening. The Wi-Fi was out and all of that. So we just went down to the beach, had lunch. That made me feel better, having some food, and thankfully the power came back on a little bit earlier than they expected. So I was able to change. We hung out at the pool for a little while and came back to get ready because we are having a birthday dinner for one of the ladies in the group this evening, and apparently an Asian buffet at the resort, and that is the plan for tonight. And then tomorrow, not sure how early we have to be up yet, but we are going to do another walk, and there's a cave with some swimming. That's all I know about that. I haven't actually looked at tomorrow's itinerary yet. And then I think we have the afternoon off to just kind of relax, and then we have our final goodbye dinner tomorrow night. In some ways it feels like we've been here for a while, in other ways it feels like we just got here. So that is currently the plan. I did a little bit more reading today, but still not making a ton of progress on anything, so no real updates for you there. But I am getting close to finishing a Trial of Sorcerers, so I think that maybe will happen the next day or two. Not going to hold myself to that entirely, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm gonna get going. We are planning one final outing on Saturday that is not on the tour, but since I don't leave until 10 o'clock at night, I and several other people who are still here on Saturday are planning to book an expedition to go see sea turtles. People who were here early did this expedition at the beginning of the trip, but expedition went really well. The turtles got a little feisty, did a little bit of biting, but overall they said it was a really cool experience, so I am looking forward to that. So right now I'm gonna go up and talk to reception, see if maybe we can get a late checkout for at least one of our rooms so we come back after the turtle expedition and have a chance to change and all of that. And then I think we're just spend the rest of that day at the resort. So anyway, long story short, I get going so I can go up to reception, meet up with people, talk to the hotel people, and then go to dinner and hopefully get a good night's sleep because I am definitely exhausted. We had about 2 hours of driving in the van today for the monkeys and after the monkeys, and I was nodding off pretty much the whole time. So with that, I'm gonna need some sleep. So this has been a fantastic week, but also definitely an exhausting one. Hopefully it means I'll sleep through a good portion of the flights back home as well. So anyway, I will sign off here and check in with you when I have updates.
Yeah.
Hello from heading into the final evening of our trip. It is currently Friday, nearly 6 o'clock. We're meeting in the lobby at 7 for our final dinner. And we went this morning to the cave to swim, which was really pleasant except extremely dark, so not a lot could be seen. And I unfortunately kind of killed my underwater camera. It leaked, and that's not good. I'm hoping the footage that I have already on the card that was in the camera is okay. The card got a little damp, so we'll see when I get home what I can recover from it. I am hopeful that maybe I can get something. I didn't take too much footage with that particular camera, but I did definitely get some photos that I want to be able to keep, including the dolphins and other things from snorkeling. So we'll see. If you've seen them by this point of the vlog, then I recovered them. If not, I hopefully will have been able to steal some photos from some of my friends from this trip who have kindly shared things already. But the cave was nice. There were what they called fish in the water that nibbled at you, and I don't know what they actually were. They did not seem to be fish. Becca was able to grab hold of one of them, and they almost looked like mini shrimp, but they were just little pinches and not particularly pleasant, but not bad. As they told us, you know, as long as we keep swimming, they generally didn't get you. It was when held still. Like we were posing for a group photo and I got bit as I was trying to hold still and smile, so it was funny. But after that, we just decided to pretty much have a chill day, which was nice. We hung out at the pool, we got some lunch by the pool, and read a bit, and just hung out in the sun, in the shade, whatever it happened to be at the moment. So it was a very nice kind of final day. And then, like I said, we're going to a really nice dinner, and that will be the end of the official trip. But our guides, who are fantastic, the one who kind of does all the rooms and coordinating and all of that, they've really gone above and beyond. We had 2 birthdays during the trip, and they had elaborate cakes and champagne and everything for that. And they brought us all tote bags with our name on it. Really nice as well to kind of, this wound up being perfect because they dropped them off with us on the day we were going out and buying some snacks and stuff, because we've been getting into our hotels late in the afternoon and we get a little bit hungry and it's hot and everything, so we decided snacks were a good idea. Anyway, they go above and beyond, but they did help us book the turtle excursion, so we're doing that in the morning, and the hotel, kindly enough, was able to let us stay just a teeny bit longer than checkout, so we get back at 11, which is technically checkout, and they're going to let us have a little bit of time to shower and stuff before we go. And then I'm just leaving here at 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon to get to the airport super early, but that kind of gives me enough time to hopefully change into something clean before I start 28 hours of wearing the same outfit and relax a bit before getting on the first plane. It's about an hour drive to the airport, so hopefully I will get some cute turtle pictures for you in the morning. I'm not positive if I'll have a chance to do an update again before I leave, depending on how long it takes us actually to get back to the hotel and showered and changed and our luggage to check out. And then we're just going to be hanging around by the pool tomorrow, I think. So that is the plan. But I did actually have some reading updates since I did some reading last night and today. I did finish A Trial of Sorcerers and had a good time with this again. There were definitely definitely things that happened in there that I had completely forgotten, so I'm so glad that I went back and read it again. And then I'm also halfway into Off the Deep End by Lucinda Berry. This is my first book by this author, and it's an author I've been wanting to read, and then I saw her at the Lisa Jewell event that I went to, so I've been even more so eager to get into. But this one is a buddy read for Lexie at Books with Lexie and her Patreon, so I've made it about halfway in. I'm not sure exactly, I think I'm a little bit past halfway in. And the premise of this one, it begins with a car accident. A mom, her son, and another boy are in the car, and she drives off the road. They land in water. She winds up pulling what she thinks is her son out of the car, but it turns out to be the other boy, and her son does not survive. And the after effects of this lead her into a really big mental break. She's in like a mental institution for a while. She's in kind of a halfway house type thing as the story is taking place, and there has been some complications in the relationship between herself and the boy she wound up saving, and them interacting with each other in a way that the parents find troubling. And there's a big question mark when the boy goes missing, and the police are investigating and trying to figure out what's going on. We're following the two moms, so the mom of the boy Isaac who survived and the mom of the boy who did not survive, and we get chapters from Isaac's mom's perspective, and then the chapters that follow Jules are like a psychological case study. That's how the chapters are labeled, so it's really interesting in that regard. She's kind of playing with the investigators, it feels like, and the investigators are obviously trying to figure out what's gone on. There's also been a series of kidnappings that this disappearance appears to be the same. So there's a question of whether Jules had any involvement or not. Isaac's mom certainly thinks she did, but there's also this series of boys who've gone missing. So the police investigators are investigating that potential as well, as this is part of a serial kidnapping type of situation. So with that, it's really interesting. The mom perspective is not something I necessarily gravitate toward in thrillers, and the kind of questionable nature of an adult and a teenage boy type of situation is not one that necessarily calls to me either, but I am very engaged with it. I'm interested to see how it turns out. So this is going pretty well, and the fact that I finished a Trial of Sorcerers means I finished at least one thing while I was in Africa, so we made progress. I think tomorrow after the turtles I will have some kind of dedicated time to just sit and read and relax, and certainly on the flights going home I'm hoping to get a lot of sleep. My flight tomorrow night is at 10:30 in the evening, so by the time they get us on board and service and everything, I'm hoping I can just kind of pass out for quite a while. So that's the plan. If I don't talk to you before I get home to LA, I will definitely give you an update once I get home. I am looking forward to my own bed, and I don't get to pick up Kylie until Monday, but I'm definitely looking forward to seeing her as well. So anyway, I will either talk to you soon or in a couple days, depending on how things shape up, but I'll check in eventually. Hello again from California. I am back at home, and if I'm looking a little bit rough, yeah, I am. I landed yesterday at 5 o'clock. I had a really great last day in Zanzibar. We went and saw the turtles, which was just a really cool experience. They have a like conservation area. It's a natural form pool, and the turtles can come in and out from the ocean. They give us seaweed, which is a natural food for them to feed them, which kind of encourages them to come and visit and nibble a little bit. I managed not to get bit, so that was good, but they definitely surround you at times, and that got a little overwhelming once or twice, I will admit. But it was such a cool experience. You could touch them, pet them, kind of push them a little bit off to the side if they were getting a little too aggressive. There was one guy who kept coming over to me when I didn't have any food in hand, and he just kind of opened his mouth at me. I was like, yeah, I get it, you can bite me, but I have nothing for you at the moment. So managed to get through that completely unscathed. Got back to the hotel actually earlier than we thought, was able to kind of shower, change, finish the last minute packing, and then we hung out at the pool for the most part for the rest of the day, those of us who were still there for Saturday. And one of the ladies in our group, Allie, had checked into a different hotel, so we walked down the beach a bit to have lunch with her there. It was nice because it was a restaurant that included Thai food, and since this whole let's go to Zanzibar conversation started while we were in Thailand on that TrovaTrip, it was a nice kind of full circle moment to finish off with some pad Thai. With that, I wound up sharing a ride to the airport with one of the other ladies, and we got stuck along the way. We were told to kind of pull over, and we sat there for about 40 minutes as it turns out, the president of Tanzania was on the island and her motorcade had to make its way down the road. So we sat there until that passed, which was, a unique experience. But with that, we then took off on a really, really fast car ride to the airport. He was determined to make up time for that lost time, and it was a wild ride. But the airport went pretty smoothly and got all my flights pretty much on time, and it was a pretty easy course home. I slept a little bit too well, I think, on my second flight. I didn't get a ton of sleep on the first one, obviously, and I had another 45-minute one, so not much sleep happening there. But my last flight, I could barely keep my eyes open as they were serving our dinner when we got on board, and then I slept pretty much that entire flight, and it was a 12-hour flight. So I got a good chunk of either sleeping or dozing for most of that, which probably was a mistake a little bit because last night I got home, I was a little too awake. I wound up going to bed at 11:30 and waking up completely unable to go back to sleep at 2:30 this morning. So not ideal, but that's okay. It's now 6:30 or so. I've spent some time catching up my book journal, my spreadsheets, and doing all of that, and going to make some progress on editing this vlog. So hopefully it can go up this week. And later on today, I do need to film, I think, my TBR for August, just to kind of keep up on content. I'm out of my pre-filmed content, and that's where we're at with that. But I did want to provide a little bit of an update on the rest of my reading. So sitting by the pool and at the airport, I did finish up Off the Deep End by Lucinda Berry, and this one left me with some really mixed feelings. I think it was really well written, it was really engaging, and that has me excited to read more of her books. That said, I think the things I had said previously, the kind of problematic relationship between this teen and this adult, I didn't love. There was kind of a twist to the end that had a lot of darkness to it related to schools and teenagers and bullying and school violence, that if you have any triggers related to that, I would look those up. And ultimately, it didn't wow me in the end. I think I'm giving it a 3.5 because I did think it was well written. I think it talked about some serious subjects well, and the idea of conversations within a family, mental health, those types of things going on, but it just didn't entirely blow me away. And then I did start reading Wrath by John Gwynne. This is the book that will be the live show on Sunday. This is the fourth book in the Faithful and the Fallen, and I was very excited to read this one and got into it to make sure I wasn't having to jam the whole book into this week while I'm catching up at work and super tired and all of that. So I made it about a quarter of the way into it, and I'm having a great time with it. Not going to really give thoughts here. The live show for that will be on Sunday, so I will try to remember to put a link for that in the description because that will not have happened when I plan to have this up for you. And then at that point, I was just getting too tired to really focus on something that needed too much brain power, and a book for a live show I definitely need to focus a little bit better on. So I decided to pick up A Hunt for Shadows, which is the sequel to A Trial for Sorcerers by Elise Kova, to continue on with the series, since my entire reason for rereading that book was to continue on. And I flew through the whole thing on my flights between dinner and kind of getting onto the flight and sitting in the lounge and such. So I finished it before going to sleep last night. This morning, yesterday morning. I can't tell you what day is what anymore, but I really enjoyed this one. I am excited to continue on and see where the rest of the series is going. And there's not a lot I can say about this one because it is a sequel, but it does pick up after everything, the twists and turns from the end of book one, and continue things on with some new twists and developments, of course. And I'm excited to pick up book 3. And then I did finish one other book, and that was Last One Out by Steph Nelson. This is the author who wrote the final scene that I really wound up loving. End of last year, earlier this year. What is time anymore, really? This one starts feeling like a YA thriller. We're following some teenagers. They have snuck up to this kind of slightly dangerous hot spring type place where kids are known to go and skinny dip. And while they are there, someone attacks them. One of the girls, Chloe, is taken, and 2 of them don't make it. We then make a time jump to present day. We are following Chloe's cousin Frankie, who has never given up hope that Chloe can be found or may someday return. And it's many years later, but they are at a annual kind of service on the anniversary of what happened, and suddenly she sees Chloe in the crowd. And the story is following then and now, going back and forth between Chloe's POV in the past and Frankie's in the present to uncover what has happened. I like this one. I did not love it. It didn't fully hook me in. I do think that there were some stretches to the plot twists and some things that didn't entirely click for me as feeling like they made 100% of sense. But overall, it was an engaging read. It kept my attention while I was in the traveling process. And for that reason, I'm giving it a 3.5. And this is an author I will absolutely read from again. Also, I received the audiobook copy of this from Simon Audio. The book itself is available on KU. So with that does wrap up this vlog. It was an amazing trip with some amazing people, and the fact that I got to see some of my friends from Thailand again and spend more time traveling with them in this unique location was a little surreal. The fact that we talked about this like 18 months ago and then it became a thing. And that we got to meet a lot of new people who felt like they just immediately belonged. This was a fantastic group. We set out to see monkeys and dolphins and turtles, and we saw all three up close and personal. It was fantastic, and really I am just so thankful to Becca at Becca in the Books for coordinating this, for bringing us all together for this. I am super excited for more travel in the future. But with that, I am going to go ahead and wrap up. I do need to go and have a nail appointment. My nails didn't quite make the final leg of the journey on Saturday, their time. I started losing nails, and the whole packing and lugging luggage around just apparently did not work out well for me. So I'm thankful I have a nail appointment this morning, and then I get to go pick up my Kylie, and honestly that is going to be the highlight of my day. And then from there we are just going to hang out, try not to sleep too much today so I can sleep well tonight because I go back to work tomorrow. So with that, let me know in the comments below, have you ever been to Zanzibar? What's your favorite travel destination you've ever done? Have you read any of these books? Tell me all the things. And if you've made it this far and you don't have anything to comment, leave me a dolphin emoji, because I think having those dolphins up close and personal was definitely a highlight of the trip. If you could hit that like button below, I would surely appreciate it, and subscribe if you're interested in more of my vacation travels, more of my book reviews, and more of my bookish content in general. But for now, I'll leave you here and see you real soon in a new video.